Hey guys, we're back with David Brandt and discussing illustrations and animation. So is there any way you can kind of break it down to us? If, say, I wanted to take and have a computer screen with somebody on it, and I wanted that person to like come out of the computer screen, like what kind of a process would I be looking at?
Well, in that piece, I got to start with a well-known poster, which is Uncle Sam coming out of the poster. And so that became my image. And so I had to build a three-dimensional version of him in the computer, which is like sculpting it out of clay. In fact, it's gray, like gray clay, until I apply that texture, which was the painting that made him look like a painting. But, there were parts of that painting that the illustrator didn't paint, 100 years ago, or whatever it was.
1D.
Yeah, it was technically 2D, but so when this guy's moving around, I had to create the painting for the other sides of his face, and if he, when he moved his arm, what was on the other side of his coat, and so on.
When you're taking a project, say somebody comes to you, what are they bringing you? Like, what kind of a concept are they bringing you? And then where do you engage in that concept?
Well, it varies a lot. It depends on how well they know me and if I've worked with them before, or if it's like sometimes they're referrals. It depends on who the person is referring them to me told me, I could do or couldn't do. But I mean, sometimes I will be giving a very specific idea what they want, where somebody has drawn a storyboard that's very concise and a script that goes with it, and I'm just making this thing that they've asked for. And sometimes that they have a loose idea of what they're trying to accomplish, and they need me to help design.
Storyboard.
Storyboards, there's a wide range. There's a storyboard that once you've been hired and people are familiar with you, that you're just trying to get information across to them. It's just a communication tool, But if you've never worked with a client before and you're trying to get the job, you are going to try to make that as highly polished as possible, and you'll use color and you'll use all kinds of references and
ways to enhance it.
Well, yeah, you can even package it up in a fancy box that you handmade and have it delivered to them. Because that you're competing against other people, and you just want to make an impression.
Yeah.
But it is a design tool. It is primarily a design tool to show somebody what you're going to do or communicate what the thing is going to be. And sometimes a storyboard can just be used for myself so that I can figure out what it is that needs to be done.
Just a visual.
Yeah, and it's constantly referred to back again over and over again throughout the process. So it's important to get the stuff down on the storyboard the way you want it.
As storyboards, which I know here they do, and I would assume probably other places, they change as things progress and things. So will, say somebody's had you illustrate a storyboard for them, will they have you go back in and alter it or revise it or update it and that sort of thing as well?
Well, yeah, that can happen, but usually, like in a TV commercial, and this way in film too, although I've not done storyboards for films, but it's gone through such a laborious approval process that once the storyboard gets approved,
it's already a done deal.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And that's why I say it gets referred to over and over again. People say, "Well, that's the way it was in the storyboard," and they go, "Well, we'd like this," and I said, "Well, that's going to cost more. It's not in the storyboard, so we can do that." But so it's sort of like I had a guy I used to work for that said, "Your storyboard is your contract, so you got to do storyboards." So there's, even though a client may not think he needs storyboards, you need for him to have a storyboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in your best interest to make sure that.
Yeah, because then there's no misunderstanding,
Sure.
and he doesn't get something that he doesn't expect, and that you don't want to get into an argument with your client, and you don't want to do work that you're not getting paid for. So it's good.
Just a good business practice, really.
Yeah.
Do you love what you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
It depends on the day that you're asking the client you're working with.
I love the work. I love animation, and I love a lot of the people that I work with. But the business is really cruel. Mm-hmm. It is. People say, "Oh, you have such a fun job. That sounds great. You must love doing that." And I go, "No, I hate it. It is one of the hardest things I've ever done." There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of money riding on it. You wouldn't believe what it costs to do a 15-second commercial. Or, I mean, I can tell you, what the most expensive one that I've ever worked on was probably $250,000 for 15 seconds of animation. And with that much money being passed around, there's a lot of people's jobs that are on the line. And a lot of people are really, really uptight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of it's coming from big corporations that throw that much money around easily. Mm-hmm. But it's just you're not taking it lightly.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk in the third segment here, because we're going to go to commercial again. But I want to talk to you about the art side of what you do, and also the artist in you, and kind of what direction you see that going. So you guys stick around. We're going to talk a little bit more with the artist, David Brandt, when we come back.